Spring is such a wonderful time of the year. Spring suggests renewal. Spring suggests change. Change. Now, that is one of the most difficult of all concepts to accept. Yet, it is probably the only constant in the universe. Change. You're not the same person you were yesterday, no matter how hard you resist that fact. Perhaps you choose to cling to old ideas and ideals even though, intellectually, you know better. Look outside. It is not the same as it was yesterday, much less a month ago, no matter how hard you try to hold on to the past. I think that the mark of intelligence is one's ability to change. The rules of reality may seem to remain constant. For example, 2 plus 2 equals 4, but our perceptions of reality is in a constant state of flux. Change. Spring, then, I think, is a time when you look at our concepts of reality. Our desires at age 45 is not the same as they were at age 25. Different motivations and driving forces, don't you see that? And believe it or not, nor will your desires be the same at age 65, 75, 85, or 95. So, where do we learn of change? Nature's a good place to start, I think. Today, all over the country, geese are walking with their young. So, that in itself is a change. As for the change in attitude, maybe, as starters, we need not go beyond the examples of nature to get the impetus we need to change in ourselves. As human beings, thinking human beings, we must determine how changes will affect our lives. Happiness versus responsibilities. Desires versus needs. We versus me. Greed versus sharing. Health versus abuse. Is the abuse really worth it? Education versus ignorance, and so it goes. To answer an email, no, I'm not an expert on anything after all. The only thing I know for sure is that I know nothing for sure. You, fortunately, must ignore me and think for yourself. Many years ago, I once asked a woman why she continued to take the abuse from her husband. She reminded me that she had no choice. Being uneducated and unemployed, it was a small price to pay for the security and financial support for her children. Change, she said, was a luxury she could not afford. Right about now, you're wondering why she couldn't find the courage to leave. And I say, can you imagine the guts required for her to stay? Besides, how about you? How free are you to change? Think about that. There are many different forms of prisons, you know. Mental, spiritual, physical, you name it. And who knows, perhaps the worst prison of all is the prison of living a life pleasing others. All because of our inability to change. Now, everything that I have said may well have been nonsense. You must think for yourself. Of course you have heard it all before. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. As a Chinese master said, and I quote, "Don't resist change, that only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like." Well, that's his opinion. Another master said that one individual can begin a movement that turns the tide of history. Martin Luther King in the Civil Rights Movement, Mahatma Gandhi in India, Nelson Mandela in South Africa are examples of people standing up with courage and nonviolence to bring about needed changes. But you know what I think? I think, though, that the most difficult change of all is the change inside one's self. It is far more comforting and is far easier to follow others than to find the courage to be an individual. Don't you think?